question, I guess, to start, Brad. How do you feel after regular season, heading into the next stage?
Yeah, I mean, I think the players, coaching staff, support staff all did a great job during the regular season. I mean, it's hard to argue, right? And not only playing and getting the results that put us in position to get home court throughout, but also, just the keeping the eye on the long term with bodies and health and everything else. So I thought everybody did a really good job, and just going to need us to continue to all be really good in whatever role we play in here, to help support the guys.
You've been through many of these journeys now. How do you feel about this particular group as they get ready?
Yeah, I mean, I really like this group. This group has a lot of answers. Can do a lot of things on both sides of the ball. It's a mature group. It's an easy to be around group of people. High competitive character, really high character generally. An enjoyable group for sure.
Right. What was the process like? Extension with Jrue, the motivation for you guys and him too to get this done now rather than later.
Yeah, I mean, I just think, and I think we all can see it. And Jrue came here, joined our team, and all he tried to do was add to winning. And for a guy that is as accomplished as he is, that's as used to, more usage, more reps, more touches, and all those other things, that never even came into play. All that came into play was, what kind of a teammate am I being, and can I help us win? And I just think that when you look at the kind of player that he is, what he's capable of on any given night, but also the fact that he can play off the ball and be as effective as he's been, I just think it shows another layer of what a guy can do. And I've been really impressed with Jrue, and I think that as you look at a person like him and you think about the long term of a group, you think obviously you need really good players and guys that can play on both ends of the court, but you also want people that the young players can look up to, and he is a person they should look up to, and certainly do look up to.
Obviously the one starter is not locked up long-term. Question for later, but Derrick, how much motivation is there going to be to get something similar done with him and keep this group together long-term? Obviously it's a bigger payroll now, but just how's everything going to come together, you feel like?
Yeah, I mean, I can't talk about much with things that we're not allowed to discuss until July 1st, but Derrick's had an amazing year. Derrick is a huge part of our team, and we want him around for as long as we can keep him around.
What do you guys go with Nemi for the final roster spot?
What
do you guys go with Nemi for the final roster spot?
Yeah, I mean, I think that just generally, first of all, Nemi's been great when he's been with us. And, we've had moments this year where we've had, only two bigs available. And oftentimes with Nemi, he's been able to come in and really fill a role and keep our team at a high level. The likelihood of anybody that you sign at that 15th spot playing huge minutes in a playoff run is probably pretty low. But he's shown that he's able to do that if surrounded by the right guys and in the right role. And so that was one thing. And then obviously, with the contract that we signed, we think Nemi is more than just a right now player, right? We think he's a guy that can help us in the future. I've been really, if you would have asked me going into the year with our four bigs, maybe we were a little bit unproven by the middle of the year. I was like, damn, that's a really good group. Like they can really play. And they can play, Al at the 4, Kristaps at the 4 with those guys, or single without them. So they gave us a lot of flexibility this year, and Nemi was a big part of that.
Brad, when you put this team together, probably have your thoughts of this is how I hope it goes. How did the way the season went compare to those expectations for you?
I don't really know that I think first of all, you can never expect that you're going to be 64 win team. I mean, that's a really hard threshold to meet. No matter how good you are, no matter how well organized you are from a coaching standpoint, how many options you have from a playing standpoint, that's just a hard thing to do. So I don't know that was my expectation, but being able to see what we're capable of on both ends of the court, I'm not surprised, that we can be a really good basketball team. That doesn't guarantee anything. You've got to go out and continue to play well and earn it and do all those things. But we have, we've got a lot of good players that want to be a part of something bigger than themselves. And that was pretty clear from the get-go. And, I think our job is to try to fit it all together.
And with Joe, obviously he was thrown into, bizarre circumstances beginning of last season. Now you have 2 full seasons. What kind of growth have you seen from him from there to now?
Well, I said this at the end of last year. I said at the beginning of this year. Joe did a really good job last year. And then, just picked right up on it this year. And obviously you're going to be, everybody in that second year of being a head coach learns a lot about kind of navigating the season, the schedule, the team, and all the challenges that come along with that. I don't think that's unique to him. But I do think he's done another really good job, and I think that he's as good as there is at getting a group on message and staying on that message and being able to hone in on this task at hand. And this group, was very consistent with that throughout all 82 games.
Brad, Jason and Jalen have been through just about every phase, and they've all done it together. How confident or how valuable is all their experience and all they've seen heading into the playoffs?
Yeah, I think what everybody brings is valuable, right? I think that Jason and Jalen have achieved a lot and have been high-level players on big stages for a long time. They've been through a lot. They've made deep runs. They've lived both the great highs and the really tough days of, that the playoffs bring you. And so there is an experience factor there that they can help with. But we've got Al Horford. He's lived it as much as anybody, right? Jrue Holiday's won and lived it. I value some of the guys that haven't lived it as much because they'll bring a fresh naivety to it. I just think that there's power in all of that.
Brad, just wanted to ask you about the play-in tournament now a couple of years into it. Your thoughts on how that's kind of going from both sides, and also just looking at the West and how there was that logjam at the top just right before the end. What do you think about the process and how this has gone?
Yeah, I think the play-in tournament's a great thing for fan engagement, for interest. If you are a 7 or 8 seed clearly, and you're in the play-in tournament, it's probably not as fun, right? I lived that a couple years in my last year of being a head coach, but I do think that it's been great for every other which way, and I think that's one of the many things I think the league has done really well in trying new things. I mean, this was kind of an offshoot of the bubble, right? We had all these teams going, and just because they were all going, we were going to say if you were within a certain amount of games, you're going to get a chance to play in for your spot. And, we saw how fun that was in that setting, and, the league jumped on it, and they were smart to jump on it.
And just flipping that around, now that you're the 1 seed and waiting to see who you're going to play, does that make it more challenging on you guys?
Everything's challenging in the playoffs. I don't think there's the one thing about the playoffs is you better play well. And so we're going to play a really good team right out of the gate, regardless of which of the 4 teams it is. And we're going to have to be ready, and we're going to have to play well.
Brad, a college basketball kind of insider tweeted out that if there was an opening at your home state, that don't be surprised if you were approached about it. What's it like to still have your name thrown into college rumors? And
I don't get into I don't get into any of the rumor stuff. I mean, I've got a heck of an opportunity here. We've been here 11 years now, and gotten a chance to see this team do a lot of cool things and go a long way. And, our goals have been the same as since we moved here. We'd like to, get over that hump. So I've got plenty enough to do right now rather than to think about all that stuff.
Kristaps has talked a lot about his kind of maturation over the last few years to really kind of find his game in his career. How have you seen that all kind of come together this year, and how does he look as far as being ready for making, hopefully for him, a deeper playoff run for the first time in his career?
Well, we're not asking any of these guys to do it alone. It's not on any one of those guys. I mean, at the end of the day, people have a tendency to focus on individuals, or coaches, and then they, you go through after every win, it's the same story. The praise after every loss, it's the same story. The deep scrutiny, like it's just the way it goes. So you have to just be prepared for all of that. And Kristaps just hasn't been as far or deep into that as some of our other guys. And again, I kind of think that's a good thing at times because you're naive in some ways, and this is like something that you are so looking forward to if you haven't been through it. And then just, he's a big part of our team, but he's a part of our team, and we'll all travel this together, and we'll do it side by side, and we'll lean on the strengths of one another. And Kristaps in particular has a lot of strengths that help unlock us. That's for sure. And so hopefully, he'll continue to play well.
Final couple questions, John.
We've gone through now a whole season with Jeff Van Gundy in his advisory role. What kind of impact has he had this season?
Yeah, Jeff's been great. I mean, and I think it's all the way through that coaching staff. They've been terrific. Jeff in his consultant role, our 6 player enhancement coaches have been amazing with our Stay Ready group. I mean, you watch those guys off the bench play all season, particularly in the last 2 games. Those guys can play, and they're ready to play. And then the coaching staff has been really good at making sure we're on the right track every single game. So I would say it's all been great. I will say this, I've known Jeff for a long time and gotten a chance to spend a lot of time with him over the years. It is fun watching a game with him when he doesn't have to speak in 15-second sound bites. He's pretty entertaining.
Did that set you up kind of with the ideal scenario, just getting to rest the starters for the last 2 games and kind of just recalibrate?
I mean, I think everybody can look at it however they want to look at it. Listen, the reality is we're going to have to play well on Sunday and beyond. And so, I've seen teams that go in and, they have to fight, scratch, and claw for everything, and then they're rolling, right? And I've seen teams go in and rest, and I've seen both groups play, well or poorly coming out of it. Bottom line is, after practice today, tomorrow, Friday, we're going to have to get ready to play well. And so I don't know if it's ideal or not. I'm excited everybody's practicing today, though.
Presented by your New England Ford dealers. Built for America. Built Ford proud.